Hey, good morning. This is our third day. We've covered a lot of really good stuff. Welcome to the No Place Like Home Conference. I'm Mark Wight. I'm the founder and president of Idaho Estate Planning. And as the name indicates, we do estate planning, but one of the things that we try to do as we put that together is do what we call some proactive planning, which of course is opposite of crisis planning. And it's kind of maybe a little overwhelming, all the things that you could think about and put together and do and understand. To be intentional about staying in your home if that's what you want to do. So we have more today. We're glad to have you here. First off, we've got Detective Ed Fritz from the Boise Police Department. You have a longer name than that, I know.
Crime Prevention Supervisor, but Ed's great.
Okay, Ed's great. I love that name. Boise Police Crime Prevention Unit. I'm reading it now down there on the screen. I didn't see it when I should have. What does that mean?
Crime Prevention Unit is all the proactive piece like that, kind of like you were saying, the planning ahead. That's what we try to do so much, is kind of do that pre-stuff. And so people aren't victimized. People aren't at a loss for their funds. People aren't at a loss for other, things like that, because crime costs all of us so much money. And so if we can do things to educate people, do those proactive steps, then obviously we're better off, and there's no victim to have that, which is the ideal situation.
Well, and we happen to be talking about a demographic that is in demand, because you have people that have retired, they have a 401k or an IRA, or they have a savings, and man, if you can get into those, you're going to do okay. And so for us, prevention is a lot easier than trying to put that all back together.
Oh, without a doubt. And so much, we're talking about scams. We talk about the financial piece like that. So there's truly a scam. There's really a target to everyone, every age range and such like that. But once you reach that retirement level, that retirement population where that income isn't coming in again, because there's not that, the 9-to-5 job from there, it can become more critical. And some, depending on planning and stuff like that, some people don't have much to spare to put around where they can afford a loss like this, because we've seen losses that are just, a few $100s, but we've seen some in the thousands and thousands of dollars. There was one that was truly just your jaw dropped, eye-opening. A gentleman, very educated person, lost, I think, our last check close to like $750,000 to one scam. And that's unfortunately, that money's not coming back.
No.
It's life-altering. It really can be life-altering, without a doubt.
Well, you had a situation where he has put this aside. It's going to contribute to a quality life, and it's gone. And he doesn't have a choice now of making, some changes and adopting a different lifestyle. So I know you have a PowerPoint presentation, so we're going to go to that, and you're going to walk us through, and hopefully you're going to be aware of some things that you can do to at least minimize, or reduce the risk that this happens.
Yeah, as much as possible with that. So a lot of the scams we've been talking about, even, we've talked about many times, is lowering that education level, which there's a certain level of education you have to have no matter what. And so the more we felt that we can educate people, hopefully the better off they are going to be when they get that email, when they get that phone call, when it comes across, because it's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. And so trying to have people be as prepared as they can for it. But now with kind of the team concept that we've talked about over your past few days here, kind of even looking at that a little more in depth into how we're presenting scams to people, how we're getting people to communicate about that, because it truly takes so many more people. If it was just up to us and our education, And the stuff we've been putting out, we would hope we'd have a great, effect on that. But nationwide, you keep seeing the numbers keep climbing and climbing and climbing. I guarantee there's millions of dollars of losses every single year in Idaho that we know about and that we don't know about.
Well, do you have a number?
I really wish I did, because it's so hard to get your thumb on that. We tried tracking it a few years back with some level of success, and just from what we were seeing was in excess of $1 million.
And that's what you can track down. You got a ratio of what might not be tracked down?
It is dramatically more than that, depending on whose stats you want to listen to. It could be, it's about a quarter of the stuff probably gets reported.
Oh.
And so,
my goodness.
Ultimately, millions are lost every single year to residents in Boise, even more into residents throughout Idaho. And so, the education piece is critical, but kind of how we focus a little bit more on is how we're addressing it, how we're telling people to address it too, given the education's always going to be there just because it has to be, but trying to enlist as much of a community support, kind of that team atmosphere around it with that communication out, because obviously we're not reaching every single one with that message every single time.
Evidently not. And we'll talk about this later. If I remember, there's the education, and that's available to everybody, and some are taking advantage of it. But there's also the change. There's the change in the mindset, and yet, it's hard to say no.
It is, and the people that we're dealing with here on the other end of that phone line, other end of the computer, they're doing this every single day.
They're good.
They're very good at what they do. And it doesn't matter how savvy you think you are, it is how educated you think you are. Every time we go out and do a presentation and we present some of the education pieces, some of the scams we've seen happen, we get people kind of rolling their eyes and scoffing in the background, but
it could be them next.
It could be them next.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be continuing to use these tactics if they weren't working across there. And it's only a matter of time before that right situation is presented to them that makes them think that, a little bit more like, oh, this could be real. This is that, whether it's something to do with their family. Who wouldn't want to act in two-bedroom of their family to try to save a grandchild? Who wouldn't help these situations?
I have a story about that. Well, why don't you get started?
Perfect.
And then if you think you know me by now, I do jump in and we'll ask questions, and hopefully it's clarifying something. Sometimes it's just because I need to say something.
Perfect. No, and the presentation we have is just kind of real quick on kind of the points of what we're trying to make about just the communication piece on scans, because we've kind of changed our mindset, our concept on how we're trying to enlist help of our community in there. So kind of looking at that kind of team, that team concept of there, how many more people we can bring into our team, how many more people we can educate with our team. I was
watching a piece last night about a Formula One car, and they were asking a driver, well, how much does this car cost? And he goes, I don't know. He says, but I can tell you this, we have about 13,000 people on our team, from concept to design to building it to maintaining it to repairing it, and then the crew. He goes, I'm just this little thing here, and so I don't even know. And I was sitting there going, that's a pretty big team. And that's what it takes for them to win at that level. And you know what? That's not that important. These people that we're talking about, us, we're more important than that. So we can put a few more people on our team and be all right.
And that's what we're helping for. And every more person we have on our team, the better off we can be with that.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
Perfect.
I will look at it with you here.
Sounds great. So, I think we've covered my intro I wanted to do on the first slide with everything we talked about so
she's
far
on it.
with it.
She's going to click it here.
But on the education side of it, there's still things we'd like to talk about that we present to people that are going to be those things to look for every single time with it. And so in assessing so many of these scam situations, we've seen these 6 things.
Okay.
6 things come up every single time that we can
Very good.
people about. So the first piece of that is just the surprise of it. Typically, these are not situations we're expecting. We have when we wake up, and so we get a phone call that our grandchild's in custody somewhere that they shouldn't be, that we've won the lottery, that we had anything else like that. So these kind of surprise things like that we weren't expecting. So first and foremost, be aware that these calls are coming, these emails are coming, that they're going to try to surprise us, and be aware for that surprise. The second thing is always the urgency around.
Oh yeah, it's got to.
Just that pressure.
You got to hurry.
Pressure.
That little pressure. Actually, it turns out to be a lot of pressure, doesn't it?
It's a lot of pressure. It can be so much pressure. We've had people drive around the city the entire day being kept on the phone by someone providing that pressure every single time they walk into this store, to this bank, over and over and over again with it. But as long as they can keep that urgency, emergency situation, that pressure going, it does not give the person, the victim, a chance to think and really sit down and think about it. Because I've talked to so many people and they said, I didn't think about the time I was trying to do this, but then they really sat down and kind of took that deep breath and like, oh my
goodness,
this is what actually has happened with theirs. So just that act fast, act quick like that, whether once again in the good and the bad, where you have to pay this quickly to get out of this situation, or you have to pay this quickly to get these funds to do things.
The marshals, the U.S. Marshals are on their way to your house right now to collect those taxes, and we'll waive the fees if you pay us over the phone.
Exactly, or even more scary than that, they're on their way to arrest you from your workplace, from your home, from your neighbors, everything else like that.
Okay, all right. I have to tell this story. One of my clients calls and says, the marshals are on their way to our house to arrest us, and so I was kind of pulling this apart for him. I go, I don't think there's anything to worry about. First of all, and you're going to tell us this in a minute. I'm sorry, I'm jumping a little bit. IRS is not going to call you. They're not. You get the nice envelope or whatever with the green thing across that it's registered or certified or something. They don't call. Anyhow, so I was walking through this with them and I go, okay, so are you guys at the house right now? Oh, no, we're down in Arizona. It was, winter, and they were down in Arizona. I'm going, so why did you call me again? You're worried that they're going to your house to arrest you, and you're not even there? And you could just tell in her voice as she was, as we talked through it, like what you said, just take a minute. And then I said, if they come down there and they throw you in jail, I'll come and visit. I'll bill you for it, but I'll come down and visit you in jail. And she said, okay. But yeah, it just took her a minute to relax. And I love that one. We're coming now to pick you up, and the marshals don't do that.
No, they don't do that. Even like with the IRS, how easy is it to get the IRS on the phone when we try to call them, when we try to contact them?
Yeah.
It's near impossible, either with, we've had people follow for Social Security stamps and stuff before. And once again, how hard is it to get anyone on the phone when you're trying to actually, talk about your benefits, talk about that. And so they're not going to call. They're not going to do a whole piece like that. But once again, given
but
the
maybe
right
they should.
like that, yeah.
Well, maybe they should. Increase the amount or increase the percentage that people pay. I don't know. Interesting. Okay, so the urgency.
Yep. And so moving on, there's always that ask is going to be next. A lot of times we'll have people call up just for looking at that personal information. And so we hear this quite a bit with Social Security scams. I swear we've heard the same thing over and over and over and over again, the same story where we can pretty much recite it to a T, what the script is going to be when we're talking to the victims, when they're calling us. And there's always Social Security numbers being compromised. There's always some sort of illegal activity going on in the state of Texas. Not sure why Texas, but always in Texas. And there's rental cars, there's drugs, there's all sorts of stuff involved with it. And a lot of times we'll see these people ask for the situations. Okay, now I'm going to just to verify who I'm talking about. What's your Social Security number? And
they'll give
there's the opening for that, or even the personal information, the personal access.
Yeah.
We'll see from time to time. Computer type scams where they have the virus scam, the pop-ups from there. We've seen people obviously get talked into thinking this is a real situation, and being given step by step process on what this hit this button, go to this site, stuff like that there, where it allows them access into every single account they have because they now have control of their computer and everything that's on there.
So Bill, how many per week do I send you? They've got, this is what you asked for, half a dozen a week, and I'm only one on the network, and so we get that all the time, and so I have a watchdog. I can send all that to Bill and go, hey, Bill, this, whatever. Or it's entertainment. It's to go, oh, here's a new one.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill passes that along to our internet folks, our computer folks, and they've been collecting those as well. So talk about a team.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. But we had a gentleman, I was actually a few years back walking into the gym and got a phone call from one of the retailers that we work with. He's like, I got a situation for you. Let me kind of ask you about this. I have a person here, they're trying to buy $10,000 in our gift cards. And they said that they were trying to pay back this computer company for too much money they got back. And so I said right then and there, I can't tell you 100% of the scam. It's a scam.
But it's in the high 90s.
But it's in the high 90s. Oh, exactly. And so come to find out more of the scenario was talking to this gentleman was, he's at his computer. He runs everything on his computer business at home. And so his entire business is on this computer. That pop-up comes. He's obviously, alarmed by that. Calls the phone number on there, and he thinks he's going into a business relationship with this virus company to protect his computer, to pick everything else on that. And so it was more the long game. 3 months later, they call him back. Our software is not going to work for your computer anymore, so we're just going to refund all your money back. And so the $300 he paid them. They're like, we accidentally gave you $30,000 back.
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm going to get fired. You don't want me to get fired. So once again, had him A, go to his bank and wire $10,000. B, went to this retailer that called me, was the second step, to buy $10,000 in gift cards. And he was supposed to go to one more stop after that to buy $10,000 again in gift cards. Luckily enough, that block was in place where we had a great store employee kind of thinks something's not right with that. But just that personal intrusion into your life that can pop up in that situation, whether it's personal information or just access that you have.
Oh my goodness. And I was impressed when you said, they're good at this because they hone their tactics. This is something they work on every day, and it's all fake.
Mm-hmm. It's a business. It's really a business to them is what it is. And so
why don't they just go get a real job? You know what I'm saying? These guys are pretty bright.
Truthfully, this is probably more profitable, which is very sad to think about.
Sad.
But it's the unfortunate reality that we're dealing with.
What else we got?
There's always going to be the ask for money. They're going to want to get paid from there. And so when they start talking about things like wire transfers, Western Unions, gift cards is one where we hope lots of lights and sirens go off to a person to be aware of. But even Bitcoin, we're seeing so many more people talk about cryptocurrencies and sending to these places to purchase cryptocurrency. And how many people out there do not understand of it, especially in our senior population. I barely understand any of it myself. I wouldn't expect someone else to do that. But there's always going to be that payout sometime to get their money, to get them their profit with that. So there's always a secrecy around it, and we've heard all sorts of stories where our $750,000 gentleman, he was convinced he was helping the FBI. And they were very adamant, you do not tell a single person about this unless you want to face contempt charges with the case and stuff like that as well. Or we need you to help us out with this, and so we need you to be secrecy on there. We've heard people even go through different situations where they will tell them to tell the cashier that they're trying to buy gift cards what to say every single time, where the point is if someone's telling you to lie or hide it from anyone, your spouse, your significant other, even the cashier who you don't know across the counter from you, there's a warning right there. Something's not right with that. And finally, last but not least, just those too good to be true or too bad to be true situations.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes in the lottery scams and such, where we've seen people, convinced they won, millions of dollars, that brand new car, things of that nature, that would be great. That would be amazing if you did do that. First and foremost, usually you have to enter in a lot of cases to get that. But
really?
Secondly, yeah.
Yeah. My daughter, I remember 5th grade, she was out for basketball and she was really kind of disappointed she hadn't scored, any baskets. And I said, after watching, I said, to make a basket, you actually have to shoot the ball
exactly
at the basket. It ain't going to happen unless you shoot. And so this is the same thing. I don't remember entering. Well, they didn't.
Exactly. And even from there, just those two bad to be true situations, once again, were these horrible, 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 horrific things that happen. Could they happen? It's possible, but they present it where, once again, with the urgency, which everything else like that, where it's just that horrible situation that you have to try to resolve right then and there by paying them money in the end. So what I like to focus on a lot about that is kind of, well, all the great stuff like that, just kind of concentrate on the secrecy piece.
Is that right?
It. And just go, once again, getting people to think, why would someone tell them that they couldn't talk to anyone? Why would someone tell them that they couldn't discuss it with even, a friend, family member, stuff like that? And so I want that just to be a huge red flag for people when it comes
So
to it.
if they don't remember anything else on here, you're thinking if they can remember that somebody says, don't tell anybody, that should be the flag.
Because that's taking our team away. That's taking the safety net away. That's taking the rest of the piece away, and is not going to allow all those other pieces that are hopefully in place to function as they should.
Got it.
So just being aware of that secrecy piece and kind of why from there, because we've even had people come to us after the fact. Actually, one of the detective I work with that shares so much on scams for our department now that we've got him enlisted in helping. He got a call by his own mother, asking him to meet her in a parking lot of a store parking lot here. And he's kind of like, well, what's going on, Mom? And she's like, it's your son, my grandchild. He's been arrested for dealing heroin and stuff like that. He's like, no, he's up in college right now. He's probably going to class. She's like, no, I wasn't supposed to tell you about this and that. Like, let me call him. Calls him up on the phone. Hey, what's going on? I'm running late for class. What's going on? Oh, so you're not in jail for selling heroin? No. Okay, thanks. And it was just that, once again, that secrecy piece that they were trying to get them to think, because what grandparent would not want to help their kid? What parent would want to help their kid? And Uncle, whichever else like that. So
now, this was really popular. This particular scam was really popular 3 to 5 years ago. Is it still hanging around?
It still flashes up. It really does. And we've seen people do it in different ways when it comes down to it. Whether it's that person that arrested and now you're talking to the lawyer that's trying to help you out.
Oh, yeah.
Or, I'm broken down here, talk to the repair person for this and that.
Well, it seemed like there was a number, I think I know of one, they were in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had to wire down some money, because the jail captain would let them out or something like that.
Mm-hmm. There was one we had earlier, I think it was later on last year, where the grandson was arrested in San Francisco for some sort of protesting and stuff like that. And so grandma was trying to bail him out, but she was having to wire money to New York to do so. And it was kind of all over the place. And she wasn't convinced until we actually had an officer standing in front of her in the bank, called up San Francisco PD, the jail and stuff like that. Is so-and-so in jail? Nope, no record on anyone like that. And it took that much more convincing for that person just to
Oh, my goodness.
be that. And once again, she wasn't very forthright with telling
Yeah.
the tellers. She wasn't very forthright with really coming close to anyone else because that secrecy piece was
Goodness
there.
gracious.
Couldn't get over
Yeah.
with that. So that's why we're talking more about the team, the kind of the talk piece like that. So if you want to jump forward a couple slides for me, if you could.
I guess we've talked about stuff.
Yeah.
I warned you.
Yes. No.
I warned you.
So the whole talk is what we're kind of focusing on now. And that's where we're trying to enlist as many people in our lives as possible, whether it's me helping somebody out, whether it's you helping your grandchildren out, whether it's you helping your parents out, just kind of starting that conversation about scams, because they've kind of been on the side that's been in the dark for so long that the more people can talk, the more people can have these normal conversations about scams, that hopefully secrecy will be taken away from so many stuff like that. They'll know, hopefully they're educated about the scam first and foremost, but they'll know that they have someone to talk to, whether it's their grandchild, whether it's their neighbor, whether it's their
attorney.
Their attorney.
By the way. Paul.
Another great
We've had some people that have done that, and we said, well, no, don't think so. Anyhow, financial advisor, your CPA, clergy, I guess the issue here for all of that is the stigma attached to it. and trying to break that down so that people can say, wait a minute. Because my mom had a neighbor who was getting caught up into this, and the daughter came. At the time she was on the phone, thank goodness, and the daughter showed up. And Mom, what's going on? Oh, I'm sorry, I have to go do this. And she got on the phone with the police while because Mom wouldn't put the phone down. She was going to go do this. And the police said, yeah, no, this isn't right. And they went to a bank, and she was supposed to pull out a fairly large sum, and the daughter said, no, don't do it. And the help at the bank, the team members said, well, wait a minute. Let's just verify that. Let me talk to the person on the phone. Got the phone, click, you know. So the stigma, and she was not about to let go of that, even though the police had responded, her daughter responded, and it wasn't until the bank employee got on the phone and it went click that she was, and then of course she was bawling and distraught, and she was lucky. But that's got to be a part of this, is that stigma. If I've gotten taken, I don't want to tell anybody.
And there's a huge embarrassment factor that goes along with it, because, you know, once again, in the conversations I do, the people kind of roll their eyes and scoff when we present these scam situations. You know, even we've done a horrible job at just almost victim blaming to an extent, to like, how could someone fall for this from there? And so it's once again, there's that secrecy piece of that.
Well, and so one of the things that I'm hearing here is that we all need to be open, and be kind.
Yep.
And gentle, and encourage the interaction, instead of the rolling the eyes and scoffing and, oh, Mom, how could you do that? That doesn't help at all.
Absolutely. And that's why that whole, you know, talking to everyone in advance, kind of talking to these situations, letting everyone else know what's out there.
Got it.
Letting them know what to do is so hugely important for that, because we've done our best and tried to, you know, set up that kind of safety net, which you'll see on your screen a little bit, of different folks that are out there. And so we've talked a lot with, you know, law enforcement. We want to get that phone call.
Go back one. Go back right there. Let's talk about that for just a second. I liked what you had on there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So law enforcement, we want to be a safety net for folks, and we've offered up, if you're ever worried about a situation, call us up, because that, you know, 3-minute conversation with someone that's working for our agency is going to save you
$750,000.
$750,000. It's going to save.
That's just heartbreaking.
It's going to save the whole system. Everyone like that is going to save that person their livelihood, and then they're living with that.
Yeah.
We've talked with so many retailers out there, and we push information out to as much as we can to try to educate every single store clerk that's along for there. And for the most part, the retailers are all in on trying to stop these pieces from happening, from falling, from that victim falling in place.
Yeah, if you can tell us what's kind of the trigger for, I mean, you know, sweet Mary Jo's going through the line, and she's got $1,000 worth of cards that she's buying.
It varies. It varies with retailers and stuff like that. It varies with scam, unfortunately, too.
Well, I'm just wondering with the retailers, if they see X amount, is that a sign, and they go, wait a minute, that's a flag?
It can be, and unfortunately, I think that's pushed out people to sending them to more retailers with that, because we used to see the one person go in there and try to buy $5,000, which flags, bells, and whistles, alerts come up on the computer where people are going to come talk to that person. And now, as opposed to sending them to one place for $5,000, I'm going to send them to 10 places for $500 each.
My goodness, great.
Where it still sets the bells and whistles off for some, because once again, the cashiers are trained to what's normal, what's abnormal from that. And if that person coming in, they look distraught, they feel distraught, they're on their cell phone the entire time, not engaging with you from there. That's hopefully raising some red flags for them. So putting that up as much as we can, and so those people inside the store will catch it. We've rewarded many store clerks for doing that, just because
very good.
They're able to save
Yeah.
tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars sometimes with that.
Most excellent.
Even the banks are a critical piece because we've seen them have to withdraw the cash first from the bank or try to wire it straight from the bank.
And then
or
go.
whichever.
Yeah, very good.
And same thing, talking to the banks. The banks are hugely important for us. But we've got a number of partners all across the valley, all across the state that help us out so much with this. We get phone calls back and forth with the Attorney General's office.
Yeah.
We've heard people back and forth. Idaho Commission on Aging has been a great resource for us.
Oh, very
in
good.
trying to put
Very
information
good.
out there. AERP is a great partner. Better Business Bureau, FTCs has great pieces like that. And so letting people know there's already this kind of net trying to help you back there. But at the same time, it's increasing your net as much as you can, increasing your team as much as you can. And
Yeah.
so there's so many more flags in place. To say if your son's your safety team, part of the safety team,
Well,
you
yeah,
can't get
you
a hold of
got
them.
you got the kids, you got grandkids, you've got siblings, and you've got neighbors and friends. The independent living communities and the assisted living communities. We were talking with some in-home care folks yesterday, and they've trained their people to look for abuse, financial abuse, exploitation. I didn't ask, but I'll bet they see some of this as well.
Yeah, there's so many sets of eyes we have in our community that could see this happening from there. Ideally, we're talking to the right folks, and they're talking to the right folks,
Yeah.
and they're putting that information out to the right folks. But there's so many people in our community that can have that set of eyes and hopefully cause that pause. Hopefully have that conversation. Hopefully, pump the brakes a little bit so that person can actually sit down and think what they did.
Get them one to slow down and to talk to somebody. I think that's what you were saying earlier. Is
Exactly.
that secrecy, but man, if they can just stop and think about it for a moment.
Exactly.
Very good. What else we got? Next slide.
And so, yeah, just encouraging those people what we're just talking about right there. And so, talking to your family about it, whether it's a son talking to his parents, talking to grandparents, or it's the parents talking to their son and talking to their parents from that. Aunts and uncles, it doesn't matter. At this Thanksgiving, sit down and have a nice scam conversation around the table to make it a little more.
Good.
Yeah, it could be great over mashed potatoes and turkey and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, friends, because not everyone has that close family all the time. They're easily to get a hold of, reliable, stuff like that. So whether it's next door neighbors, whether it's a person that you engage with at the store once a week for this and that, whatever else from there. And you brought up the caregiver piece with that. And is there people that are checking up on you on a regular basis that you can have those conversations with so that they can be that person you give a phone call to, you talk to real quick, just so we spread out that net as much as we can. We spread out that team, make that team as much as we can, large as much as we can. So there's that many more pieces in place to not allow this to happen if it comes to that. So,
yeah. Now, one more piece. This is interesting, and it's a little bit tricky, so you've got to be very intentional and very informed about that, is if you do planning, for example, you do some estate planning, you've got a power of attorney, maybe you got a trustee, and even without the power of attorney or a trustee, if you could give at least internet access to kids, to a daughter, who can get on and go, Mom, what's this $5,000 right here? What's going on? Again, that gets played. You got to play it carefully. There's so many families that can do it, and we'll be fine. There's a couple that fall into the exploitation, so you got to be careful. But that's another way, just to, somebody that can check in and look at your account. What's going on?
Oh, exactly.
Mom, you pulled out $7,500. What'd you do that for? And I don't know. And that's all after, I'm afraid, right? That's all after. What we're trying to do is the proactive planning, trying to get ahead of this.
At least with that, though, is trying to catch it as quick as humanly possible, because that first ask might be just for $1,000, and hopefully someone sees that and it grows from there. But we've seen so many of our victims just get hit again and again and again and again, being victimized, where quite frequently they're brought into the scams themselves, and so they're taking in money, they're sending money, they're doing things of that nature.
This is disturbing.
It's horribly disturbing like that. And the saddest part for us is it's so hard to recoup this money back for folks, because when we get the case, we get that phone number to call, we'll trace it back to here. The person that we called over here, well, that's being victimized too, and we just found 4 more victims from this person. I'm sure if we kept going and going, it would just spider web up bigger and bigger and bigger like that. And it just is just sad and horrific how much is truly out there in all of this.
Yeah. And amazing how much even a minute's worth of reflection. And of course, that's the secrecy. We don't want you to take a minute to reflect on what's going on. So the ability to call somebody, and in fact, I would think, maybe I'm wrong, these guys are pretty audacious, but, listen, I'm just going to check with my son about this. Might get him off the phone.
Or it might get the other pressure going with them too like that. And so, but that's the one thing to remember too. If they don't want you to talk to your son, they don't want you to talk to this and that, there's got to be a reason for that. Why they want the secrecy from there. So catching that flag with there, because if you can talk to your son, hopefully your son's going to realize what's going on with that. And so just realizing that secrecy piece, and just that getting that time between when you get that phone call and when you have to act on there, trying to delay that as much as possible. We had a gentleman we were talking to in another presentation a few weeks back that was openly enough to share with the group, because not many would have in this case, and described a situation where it was the virus scam, the computer scam, where he took out $10,000, placed it inside a magazine, and dropped it off at the post office to be sent at some place across the country, because he was paying his fees that way. He said he got home, sat down, just kind of took that breath for a second. He's like, yeah, I shouldn't have done that. Luckily enough, he acted quickly enough and got a hold of the post office. They stopped the package. It didn't go anywhere. He had his money in his hand. He was fine with that. And that's why so much of the reporting is so important, because if anyone's going to be able to do anything, if the bank's going to be able to do anything, we're going to be able to do anything, the quicker someone can come forward with that is going to make a huge difference, or it could make a huge difference.
Increases probability, maybe not to 100%, but increases probability of getting that back. So this is unfair, but let me ask it. Can you give us kind of a rundown of scams? I know this is your side hustle, that you're out there, you're doing these scams. That's what it sounds like. Hey, how would you do this? No, what's out there? What's going on? What are some things that you're sitting here, you see this every day. I know it's all over the board, but maybe give us a category and what you see in that category and kind of.
Some ones that we're seeing recently come up, which is kind of, I guess, a brand new twist on so many of those, is kind of the access code scams. And where, say you want to reset your email password, say you want to reset your bank password. You go through the system, you go through that, they're going to send you some code via email, via text, to enter in there to reset your password. And so they're having people contact people through social media, through email, through text and stuff like that, saying your account's been compromised. I need you to send me this code so that we can reset your account for you. And the person not thinking will do that, send them the account number, whether it's there for their bank, whether it's for their email, whether it's for Amazon, and now they own that account and everything with it, and they change passwords and obviously lock people out with that. We're seeing businesses get hit too, truly, for email scams, through phone call scams. Had a conversation coming out of vacation with one of our local bigger businesses that was getting people calling up their businesses, telling them, posing as a CEO and talking them into going to other retailers and buying gift cards to protect money and keep the store open like that. We still see people talking about...
Wait. Let me make sure I understand this. Somebody calls posing as the CEO of the business.
Yep.
And calls employees and convinces them that we kind of got to double down, we got to pull some cash out of the business and hedge it, against a possible future failure here. Oh my God.
And we've seen everything from we're in violation of fire code, they're going to shut us down unless we pay this fine, to some other, once again, horrific situation where the business is going to close, people are going to be out of work, it's not going to exist anymore. When you, like, unless you do this. And we've heard people in the past take money directly out of the till, directly out of the safe, and go and Bitcoin, gift cards, the whole piece like that, and give the information across.
Oh my goodness, that's novel. I hadn't thought of that one.
Yeah, we still see computer scams, kind of virus scams happen all the time. That's just kind of a constant anymore, just because we all have technology, we all have computers. It's so easy to reach someone and either have, an Apple product or a Windows product and be able to easily kind of signal in on my scam on that. With everyone having Amazon coming out of the pandemic and stuff like that too, we saw more and more emails and texts and stuff like that being sent about all these fraudulent purchases on your account. Now I need to basically fix your account with you, click on this button, send this information here, stuff like that, pay this back from there.
Which means then that they can, so they either want it paid back or they want to get into your account. And once they get into your account, you've saved information, card information.
Yeah, and typically it's just looking for that payment, that getting me to go buy that gift card and tell you the numbers across the phone from there.
Oh, geez.
And some of the stuff's seasonal too. Tax time, we see kind of tax-related scams come up. Anytime there's that big national emergency and such, we see charity scams pop up.
Well, that's a special one, charities.
Yeah, and it's just, once again, horrible, them posing as some sort of charity trying to help Hurricane Ian victims, things like that. And so they'll get, send out emails, they'll do phone calls and stuff like that, trying to generate money off the phone, whether that's go buy a gift card, do it here, give me your credit card number here, click on this link to donate here, and it kind of balloons from there to everything else we talked about with money being lost, identities being compromised, things of that nature.
Oh my goodness. All right, any others that we should...
Gosh, unfortunately, there's just so many out there, is what it comes down to. And while the scams kind of recycle and stuff like that, the people find new ways to present them.
Present it.
Like the grandparent scam, the just group over here tweaks it a little bit and presents it in a different way. The computer virus scam, this group tweaks it a little bit different. So as opposed to it's a pop-up, they now call you on the phone from there. It really is, as much as that person wants to be creative with the scam, they can be with that. And so it's just, once again, so much. That's why we need to talk about this, so that more people can just be aware when that phone call comes up. Because like we just said, they're getting that phone call regardless.
Right.
They're getting that email regardless. They're getting that text regardless. And so it's being as prepared for it as you can.
Oh my goodness. So I'm trying to, I know the secrecy part. I mean, I know that now that we're into this, that's, if we can get them to take a minute to breathe, and call somebody. We live in a world now where we're so connected. Everybody's got access to the internet, and then we access our accounts and all that stuff. Are there some things that we should keep in mind, or some things that we should do? For example, we men have to do everything ourselves, right? That's just the way we are. Would it be better to have a good internet virus program? Would it be good to hire, a professional computer guy? I would say gal, but everyone I've seen is a guy. Are there computer gals? Anyhow, get a computer guy to come and get you set up and make sure everything's the way it's supposed to. Are there some things like that that we should do or know ahead of time so that we can avoid even getting those?
I think absolutely. There's things you can always do in advance, because things are so computer-based and stuff like that. Making sure your computer is up to date with its softwares and stuff like that. Make sure you have that virus stuff going on from there. Doing all those things, and if you don't understand it, knowing that there's businesses out in our community that do that. There's professionals that do it every single time. I'm lucky enough to have a family member that was an engineer, a computer engineer for many years. And so we take everything to them, ask all the questions to them, and having that great resource from there. But even thinking about that to everything else you don't understand when, Bitcoin and stuff's being popped up and you don't understand it, but yet someone's still asking you to go do this. Do you know anyone in your life that does investments, that does other things out there that you can kind of talk through from there? Even using the power of the internet to kind of research these situations out from there. One scam we see quite a bit too, and unfortunately with so many people coming to our area, is rental type scams and housing scams.
Those are horrible.
Those are very, very horrible. We discovered a new website a few weeks back where someone I knew got taken advantage of. Luckily, it was only for a very minimal amount, but looking through the sites, it was just scam after scam after scam after scam like that. And with people wanting to come here, with people trying to find affordable housing,
Yeah.
a $1,000 rent sounds hugely appealing, even if it seems to be too good to be true, where it probably should be $2,000, $3,000 with that. And so once again, having resources you can talk to about that, as opposed to trying to talk too quickly, call up an agency, call up a rental company, try stuff like that to assist you through these things. Out in our community, there's so many different groups that are available to help. It seems like not everyone takes the time to do it or even knows, probably more so, that help is available to them.
So we're running out of time. We're getting there. So on the rental scam, at least what I've seen is you call up, I want to rent your place, they show up and they put you through your paces, and then they collect your deposit up front in the last month, and come to find out later they don't own the place. Is that right? Is this the rental scam?
No,
are there better?
That's completely, and most of the stuff that we see is advertised on some free method online. So that's where you'll see the Craigslist come into play. That's what we'll see, like Facebook. Those sites where anyone can just sign on and put anything else from there. What we've seen in so many of these cases, this is an actual home. This is an actual place for sale or for rent somewhere.
Right.
But once again, the power of technology, I can go on and probably find pictures of your house, my house on there, where I could put on there and post that, hey, this place is for sale, and have pictures of the last time it was for sale. It has pictures inside. It has pictures of the backyard. It has pictures of everything else from there. Most of the contact we've seen with these folks is going to be completely either email, text-based, from there. And they always come up with very, very good reasons. Once again, usually kind of extreme reasons why I can't do this. Oh, I'm out of town for business, this. Oh, this horrible family emergency happened, and now I had to go here, so I'm only going to be available via email and text and things from there with that.
Which should be a sign.
Yep, exactly.
This is they can't be there. This is not a thing that should alert you right then.
Exactly. And then they'll even tell you, oh yeah, just drive by the house, take a look at it yourself. And in some of these cases, since they have been properties that are actually for rent, if you sign up for different services to show the places, different companies will use these, they'll have a little lockbox in there with a key code on it that if you sign up for that, you can get a key code and get in and be able to see the entire place, actually tour it themselves, because we used to warn people, if you can't tour it, if you can't actually get into it, be worried.
That's an issue.
Technology has helped them with that, and so they'll sign up for these, create fake accounts and give a person a passcode to go walk through from there.
And then what are they asking for? The same thing? They want the first and last month's deposit?
Yep. Exactly. They're just trying to get that money. And typically, we've seen them have wire it from time to time, where you go to your bank, you send it over here. But a lot of it is so much in those person-to-person payment apps, where I'm sending money directly to you and have zero chance of ever getting it back in the end from there. The worst story I heard about this, one of the most heartbreaking stories I heard about with this, was family trying to move to Boise, thought they secured this great place in the north end, and so they wanted to jump on it really quick. They filled out the little too easy form, to apply for it, and were accepted. And so husband came up to, get the keys, secure everything else ahead of time before the rest of the family came up. And so he shows up as the rest of the family is driving up
on their way
with everything, their entire home in a U-Haul there, only to go to the property and say, oh yeah, I've rented this. And the guy's like, yeah, no, you didn't. And in essence, they're out of housing. They're out of a house because they fell victim to the scam like that. So,
Well, and because I can't do that. This is my makeup, right? It's not because I'm a good person or all that. It might, implicate that I'm a decent person, but I just can't do that. But these people don't care. I'm sitting here going, that's horrible. It's heartbreaking. I can't stand it. Somebody should do something about it. And these people just don't care.
It's a business for them. It's them making money is what it comes down to it in the end, and unfortunately it's affecting someone else's life with that. And so there are call centers in other countries where every single day they come in and sit down and they scam us. They make call after call after call, email after email to scam us day in and day out, and that's how they pay for their living, which is horrible to think about, but unfortunately that's the reality we have presented with us. And so that's why anything that we can do ahead of time to take a pause on that, because we hear from victims like, I got this phone number, you can track him down this way. If it was that easy to do that would be great, and we can do there, because maybe that phone number goes back to internet-based phone and it's routed, and so it's who knows where else in the country with it's like that. It would be great if the person was down the street from you or across town or in the county over, because we would love to investigate that and go make an arrest and get your money back. But unfortunately, so much of stuff is, even if it's somewhere else in the country, while we might care about it as much as we can here,
There's not much you can do about it.
there's not much we can do about it once it reaches that other department, that other agency there, because that $5,000 loss here might seem big for Idaho, but when you're in another city where they don't investigate things under $100,000,
Yeah.
it's not going to scratch the
Oh
surface
my
for them, which is
goodness.
so unfortunate with that.
That is, again, that's heartbreaking. The hardest part for me is that as hard as you guys try, there's just not much you can do about it after it's happened. So this is an issue of preventing. This is putting together. So for our clients that are listening in, this is education, I think some more education, and then the courage to break out of the little, cycle that they've got going and say, time out. I need, what was it? I want to exercise my lifeline. Was that?
There you go.
Yeah. I need my
I need to phone a
lifeline
friend.
here. Yeah, I've got somebody to call. And I know they'll double down, and so that's what you're right. The scammer's going to double down on that, but then that is another huge flag.
Exactly.
All right, okay. So we've got like 2 minutes left. Anything else you want to send us out the door with today?
I think I've worried people enough about all sorts of scams and stuff that are out there, truly. But what I want people to do, and this kind of seems sad and unfortunate too, but just in the reality we're at, we almost have to treat every single phone call we get, every single text we get, every single email we get, social media message we get, with a certain level of skepticism anymore. And once you research it, find it's a legitimate situation, great. You're better off for it. But as long as we go into there with a little bit more skepticism, because we have so great trusting people that we work with, and we love that about people. They want to help their family out. They want to help friends out. They want to help the community out. But we want to go into those situations without just a little bit of skepticism, a little bit of pause, just kind of.
And that's sad.
Yeah, it is.
That is really sad. And so a little skepticism. We heard from 2 folks yesterday talking about Alzheimer's and maybe preventing it. And one of the things that they both said was your network.
Yep.
You got people that you go walk with, or that you go have coffee with, or you argue with over the fence, and except politics. Oh my gosh, don't go there. But just people that you can talk to, develop that relationship, people that'll check in on you. So, yeah, I'm guessing being wary, have your network, and then a little bit of courage to go ahead and say, even as you are doubling down, you go, no, I need to call my lifeline here.
Absolutely.
All right, very good.
Absolutely.